So when we're thinking about new members coming on board, we want to think about that member experience as well as how are you setting your program year up for success, thinking about your capacity, thinking about the timing of what you want to do when so that it still has a good experience for you and your members. So this is when we want to think about the next few months and what are the potential start dates and your what you might call start date minefields. I have started members in November. What I have found is November is really tricky. November has some holidays in it, Veterans Day and Thanksgiving. We've also got Election Day, which depending on the year can be more or less of a distraction or a big deal or something where it's going to affect the availability of you and your members. If you are working with schools, colleges, if either your members are college students or the places where they serve, like if their sites, service locations are schools, you'll also want to think about, is there any sort of fall break? Do they get extra days off around Thanksgiving, perhaps? There's going to be other days around that. So really, most people, most programs like to start members either on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. It allows them to have orientation and training and kind of get settled in. Most programs don't start members on Thursdays and Fridays, especially not Fridays. So that only really allows you these yellow dates, these highlighted dates, the week before Thanksgiving or the week after Thanksgiving, and probably not even this Monday right after Thanksgiving because people might be traveling. So if you're looking at potential start dates for November, that's when I would be looking at. And ideally, it would be this week before Thanksgiving, I would think. This is obviously depends on your program, depends on your exact audience. Just some things to consider when you're planning around your start dates. I haven't highlighted any dates in December because for most of the programs I work with, they either serve at schools or they have members who are college students. If that's the case for you, December is incredibly tricky. You've got holidays. You've also got graduation. If your college students are doing December commencement, even if they're not graduating, they have finals week, which is usually for most colleges the second week of December or middle of December. Many colleges do something before that called reading week or something else where their schedules are different. And then if they are college students, there's also a lot of travel involved. The dorms close during winter break. If you're placing members at service sites that might be daycares or government offices or universities or anything like that, many of them close their offices between Christmas and New Year's, between the holiday weeks. So keep that in mind as you're planning ahead for the member experience of starting a new position. You not only need enough time for you to do your orientation and training, but you also want them to be able to get a little bit of traction and feel like they have time to get to know the site and what they're doing. It's not really disjointed where it's like they serve for 2 days and then they have a week off. That can be difficult for member management, difficult for them feeling like they're really bought in and have that traction started in their position. It's not impossible, but it is something that if you're planning on it, you really need to be careful and intentional to understand how that's going to feel from the member's perspective. So finally, that leaves us with January. There is a reason why a lot of programs decide to stop recruitment between Halloween or the week of Halloween through the end of December and really through the first week of January. It's a lot to ask of you and your staff capacity to onboard during that time. We often joke that December is basically like 2 days. You're trying to do things in December and next thing you know, it's the end of December. So I fully give you permission to at least consider pausing recruitment and restarting recruitment. And for many programs, especially if you do that cohort model where you want to batch your new members and have them start at the same time, they really benefit from being able to have this collective start date in January, or maybe you even have a program that would make sense to have them start later. If you are thinking about a January start date, look at the schools in your area or that affect your members. Even if you don't involve education at all in your program, you still want to take into consideration the school schedules. Because let's say you have anyone who's a parent, or even just people who are helping out family members who have kids home. Those education school schedules will still impact you in ways you don't even expect. So get to know what the school schedules are in your area and that affect your area, and then plan around that. You do not want to start members, generally speaking, during a winter break. The other one that can be a really good anchor date for AmeriCorps programs is the MLK Junior National Day of Service. So that's going to be the second Monday in January. And what you can think about, depending on how your program serves during that National Day of Service, is that member experience of being able to participate right off the bat in a National Day of Service. Could you perhaps have members start even maybe late in the week? They could even start on a Thursday, the Thursday before MLK Junior Day. And that allows them a couple of days of orientation and training. And then if you've got a service event going on that day, they would have that. And then they could start at their service site. So this could be a really great way for them to feel like there's ways for them to ease in and get to know people and start to have that experience of what it's like to be in service. Otherwise, let's say you're really involved in planning a day of service event that day. Maybe you just don't have the capacity to also onboard new members. So take that into consideration. Maybe you want to wait and stagger and have them start a week afterwards, maybe even on the Wednesday afterwards, so that you're not dealing with just having too much on your plate and being distracted and not being able to give the members that good new start. Okay, so that's what I had to say around calendar start dates and start date minefields.